At my sister's wedding, I found my seat in the back corner. A folding chair with a sticky note that read, Overflow. My cousin whispered, "They didn't think you'd actually come." I smiled, walked over to the gift table, retrieved the $6,000 check tucked in her card box, and said, "Guess I overflowed out." As I walked out, my uncle followed me. My mom shouted, "Stop him!" But I didn't stop. It was the most embarrassing moment of my life, and not the kind that you laugh about years later, like forgetting someone's name mid-conversation or waving at a stranger you thought was your friend. No, this was something else. This was humiliation that sticks with you, that hardens into something heavier than anger. This was the kind of moment where everything you tried to ignore about your family finally showed itself in full. It was at my sister Ava's wedding, my only sibling. We grew up close, at least that's how I remembered it. But after our parents started favoring her more and more, especially once Aaron and I got married and they realized we couldn't have kids, something shifted. The way they treated us changed subtly at first. Fewer phone calls, awkward silences at family dinners, questions that were never really questions. Still no luck. You've tried everything. Maybe you're just too stressed. Aaron hated it. I told her it would pass, that it was just their way of dealing with disappointment. I defended them more than I should have. The invite to the wedding came 3 weeks before the ceremony. After months of silence, not a phone call, not even a private message, just a group text that said, "Hey Carter, you and Aaron can come now. We had some cancellations." The word now did something to me, like we were on standby. Aaron looked at the message and said, "You sure you still want to go?" I told her we should. I wanted to believe the gesture, even if it was half-hearted. The weirdest part, we'd already given Ava and her fiancé $2,000 to help with expenses. She'd called me 6 months back, frantic, saying they were short on budget and that even a little would help. I asked how much they needed, and she mentioned decorations and flowers. I wired the money that same night. No thank you card. Not even a follow-up. I didn't think much of it at the time. I thought we were family, and that's what family does. We showed up to the venue early. It was small, no more than 30 guests. Mostly relatives. Some of Ava's friends I'd seen on social media, but never met. Aaron held my arm as we walked in. She was quiet, observant. She always notices things before I do. We checked the seating chart on the welcome table. No Carter. No Aaron. Just a small note at the bottom written in rushed black ink. Overflow seating corner. We followed the arrow and there it was. One folding chair, not even two. A single metal folding chair with a yellow sticky note on it that read Overflow. All caps underlined. Like they wanted to make sure I saw it. I stood there staring at it, trying to process how real this was. That's when my cousin Nathan leaned in close and whispered, "They didn't think you'd actually come." That hit harder than I expected. Not because it was surprising, but because it was exactly what I feared. Aaron looked at me. I didn't say anything. I just walked past the chair, through the room, right to the gift table. I knew exactly where our card was. I placed it myself when we arrived. It was near the top, a white envelope with a simple "For Ava and Matt" written in Aaron's handwriting. I reached in, pulled it out, slid the check halfway out, let the $6,000 figure catch the light. A few people noticed. Nathan's eyes widened. Others turned, whispering. I didn't care anymore. $6,000 on top of the $2,000 we already gave. For a wedding that cost $7,500 total, they didn't just forget me, they used me. So I said it calmly, like it was just a fact. Guess I overflowed out, and I walked. Not storming off, not making a scene, just leaving. Aaron followed without hesitation. My uncle shouted after me. I heard my mother scream, "Stop him!" But nobody moved. Nobody stopped me. Nobody really wanted me there in the first place. We got in the car. Aaron didn't say anything for the first minute. Then she looked over and said, "I've been trying to tell you." I nodded. That's all I could do. We didn't go home right away. We drove to this little cafe on the edge of town and just sat in silence for a while. Neither of us hungry, just needing space to breathe. I kept replaying everything in my head, wondering if I'd done the right thing, if I just made a huge mistake. But I hadn't. Not really. The real mistake came years earlier when I kept trying to prove myself to people who only saw me as a flaw in the family photo. This time I chose myself. But I didn't know that walking out would only be the beginning. The real storm started the next morning. And it didn't come from Ava. It came from the rest of them. The next morning, the house was too quiet. Not the peaceful kind. The kind that feels loaded. Erin was already in the kitchen. Coffee in one hand, phone in the other, reading something with that frozen expression that always comes just before she throws the phone at the couch. I didn't ask. I just walked over and she held it up. It was a message from my mother. Long, formal, cold in that way only family can manage when they're pretending not to be angry. It started with, "I think there was a misunderstanding which would have been funny if it wasn't so pathetic." Then came the guilt trip. Ava was very hurt. She cried all night. "You humiliated her on her wedding day. You humiliated all of us." I just stood there rereading it like maybe there was a part one missed. There wasn't. It was all there. Denial, blame, manipulation. I barely had time to think before my phone buzzed. "Ava," first a missed call, then a message. "You ruined everything. 3 minutes later, you're pathetic." No context, no explanation, just that. Like I was the one who turned her wedding into a spectacle. Like I hadn't been seated in the damn corner like a last-minute +1. By 11 a.m., the front doorbell rang. Erin opened it, still in her sleep shirt, no makeup, hair tied back. She didn't care. My mom stood there holding a grocery bag like she was visiting a neighbor. Erin didn't step aside. "I need to speak with Carter." "No, you don't. It's important then. It should have been important yesterday." I stayed back in the hallway listening. Erin wasn't angry. She was done. There's a difference. My mom tried again, talking louder, asking if I was home. I didn't answer. I let Erin close the door in her face. Half an hour later, Ava showed up. No groceries this time, just raw nerves and a frown that looked like she'd rehearsed it in the car. Erin didn't even let her finish her first sentence. She told her we weren't interested. Ava raised her voice. Erin raised the volume on her silence. She stood there until Ava turned around and walked back to her car, shoulders tight, head shaking like she couldn't believe we weren't folding like we always did. And then the real circus started. First, it was the uncles, then the cousins, then a woman I hadn't spoken to since my grandmother's funeral called to say, "I heard what happened. I'm shocked." Everyone was shocked. Everyone suddenly had something to say, but none of them had anything to say when Ava sent that group text. None of them cared when we weren't invited. Not one of them lifted a finger when we were asked to pay into a wedding we weren't welcome at. Now they all wanted to play mediator. One even said, "It's just a chair." Like a chair with a sticky note wasn't the final proof that I didn't belong. Erin, bless her, didn't waste time. She started blocking numbers mid-call. She logged into my Facebook and deleted it for me. I didn't even stop her. She handed me my phone and said, "You don't need this noise anymore." I hesitated, not because I disagreed, but because this was all I had ever known. This constant crawling for approval from people who barely thought of me as family. Erin saw it years ago. She warned me. She tried to make me see that love isn't supposed to feel like begging. 2 days after the wedding, Erin picked up the phone and called Ava. I didn't know what she was going to say. I honestly thought she might try one last time to make peace. I sat on the couch and listened from the next room. The whole thing lasted maybe 3 minutes. Ava's voice came through loud. Even though Erin had the phone to her ear, she was yelling, throwing words like ungrateful and cruel. Erin never raised her voice. She just waited. And then when Ava finally stopped to breathe, she said something quietly, then hung up. She came into the room, tossed the phone onto the coffee table, and said, "That's the last time we hear from her." "What did you say?" I told her, "If she ever comes here again, I'll make sure she regrets it." I stared at her for a second. Erin's not mean. She's not dramatic. She's kind, strong. But something in her head had snapped. Not in a bad way, just in a final way. "You don't have to protect me." I said, "I'm not. I'm protecting us, and I'm done letting people mess with our peace." And somehow that's what hit hardest, because for the first time I saw it clearly. I'd been trying so hard to be accepted by a family that was never going to see me as enough. Erin saw that years before I did. And now she wasn't waiting for me to catch up. She was done. And whether I was ready or not, that meant I had to be too. The next few days were like walking through fog. I kept expecting another knock, another text, another wave of guilt from someone trying to disguise it as concern. But after Erin's call to Ava, everything got quiet. Not calm, quiet. The kind that comes right before something breaks. On the third day, they tried again. This time, it was my mother and Ava together. They showed up just before noon. Erin and I had just finished lunch. We saw them pull up from the kitchen window. My mom's SUV parked half crooked in the driveway. Ava in the passenger seat, already rehearsing whatever drama she'd planned. Erin didn't even flinch. She walked to the door before they had a chance to ring the bell. She opened it and stepped outside, closing the door behind her. I stood in the hallway watching through the window beside the frame. My mom did most of the talking, arms moving, voice rising. Ava stood back, arms crossed. I couldn't hear everything, but I caught fragments. Family, apology, money. Erin didn't move, didn't say much until she did. She stepped closer to them, pointed at the driveway, and then turned her back. They didn't expect that. Ava yelled something. I couldn't make it out, but Erin didn't turn around. She opened the door and came back inside, calm like she just returned from checking the mail. I told them if they show up here again, I'll file a restraining order, she said, pouring herself a glass of water like nothing happened. I'm not kidding, Carter. I will not live like this. I didn't know what to say. She wasn't asking for permission or support. She was drawing a line and daring anyone to cross it. And that's when something changed in me, too. I wasn't angry anymore. I wasn't sad. I was tired. Tired of apologizing for being the son who didn't give them grandkids. Tired of trying to buy my way into a family that only saw me as broken. Tired of pretending that love was owed just because we shared blood. That night, Erin surprised me again. She sat me down on the couch, opened her laptop, and pulled up the wedding budget spreadsheet Ava had emailed us months ago when she asked for help. She clicked through the numbers, $17,500 total. My name and the $2,000 I'd already sent were still on there, labeled as floral contributions. She didn't even take us off the list after she uninvited us, Erin said. Then she opened her own spreadsheet. I had no idea she kept one. In it, she'd logged every expense we'd ever covered for my family. Trips, birthdays, emergencies, cash we'd lent without ever getting back. Thousands of dollars over the years. Most of it from me trying to prove something. She never cared. Erin said none of them did. You're not the problem, Carter. They are. I felt something loosen in my chest. And then Erin smiled. Not in a kind way, in a way I'd never seen before. Calculated, focused, almost dangerous. I'm done playing defense, she said. Now it's my turn. I didn't understand what she meant. Not at first. But the next morning I would, because Erin had a plan. And once she put it in motion, there was no going back. The next morning, everything felt too still, like the air was holding its breath. Erin was already at the kitchen table, laptop open, a notepad next to her with scribbles and arrows connecting names and dates. She didn't look up when I came in, just tapped her pen and muttered, "She's dumber than I thought." Who? I asked, already knowing the answer. Ava. She's been lying to everyone, not just us. She turned the screen toward me. There was an old post from Ava's Instagram months before the wedding bragging about how a nonprofit she worked with helped sponsor her wedding through some matching grant program. The comments were filled with heart emojis and "so proud of you and you deserve it" from family and friends. She told people that's where most of the money came from, Erin said. But look, same nonprofit never listed her name on their donation reports. So I called them. You called? I did. Spoke to their coordinator. They've never heard of her, never supported a wedding, and definitely didn't write her a grant. I sat down staring at the screen. So what? She lied for clout. No, Erin said, tapping the pen again. She lied to erase us. That hit different because it was true. We didn't get a mention, a thank you, not even a sideways acknowledgement. Ava crafted a version of her life where Aaron and I didn't exist. And apparently she'd been feeding that story to others, too. Then Aaron opened another file. It was the budget breakdown Ava had emailed when she begged us for help. $7,500 total. Our $2,000 was listed under floral and venue assistance. It even had our names beside it. Proof. But now Aaron had compiled screenshots, receipts, and even a copy of the cleared check. The $6,000 ID retrieved. She told Matt it bounced. Aaron said, I blinked. What? Yeah, that's why I'm calling him. She dialed before I could say anything. Put it on speaker. Matt answered after 2 rings. Hey, Aaron. Hi, Matt. I'll keep this quick. Just wanted to give you a heads up. We're preparing a written statement. Since Ava publicly claimed her wedding was funded by a nonprofit, and since they confirmed they never gave her a dime, we may need to clarify our part in this. Financially, legally, if it comes to that silence. Then he said, she told me the check he gave her didn't go through. Aaron calmly replied, we have the bank statement. It cleared within 24 hours. She lied. Click. He hung up. We sat there for a second, not speaking. Aaron finally broke the silence. She's built her whole identity on the illusion that she's better than everyone else. Even when she needed help, she had to pretend it came from anywhere but you. That night, Aaron sent a message not to Ava, but to my mom. It was short, sharp, and final. You let her treat us like garbage, and you stood there and watched. Don't come back. Don't call. Don't drag Carter into your mess. We're done cleaning it up. No reply. But the next morning, Ava's social media disappeared. Facebook gone. Instagram wiped. By noon, we got an email from Matt. It's handled. Please don't contact us again. And that could have been the end of it. But Aaron wasn't interested in the end. Later that day, I found her back at the table flipping through a folder of old texts, letters, even Christmas cards. What are you doing now? Finishing it. I laughed nervously. You said we're done. She looked up, calm, focused. No, I said they're done. We're just getting started. I didn't know what Aaron meant at first. She wasn't shouting, wasn't pacing, just focused, methodical, and a little too calm. She gathered every piece of communication from the past few years. Birthday texts that only arrived when we sent gifts first. Thank you messages that never actually said thank you. Messages that were really just subtle jabs wrapped in casual wording. Aaron printed them all. She didn't say much that evening, just sat on the floor of the living room organizing everything like she was building a case file. And that's exactly what she was doing. The next morning, she emailed something to my mother. I didn't ask what it was, but I saw the subject line. Everything you chose to forget. An hour later, my phone rang. I didn't answer. 10 minutes after that, the doorbell rang. Aaron went to answer it, but I stopped her. I'll do it, I said. It was my mother. I was puffy. She started talking as soon as the door opened, but I didn't let her finish. Don't, I said. Just don't. She didn't expect that. She opened her mouth like she wanted to argue, like she had a new excuse ready, but I shut the door before she could use it. Later that afternoon, Aaron finally told me what she'd sent. It was a compilation of years of what she called quiet disrespect. A highlight reel of every time they pretended I didn't matter or that Aaron wasn't my wife or that our life was somehow less because it didn't come with a child. She even included the group text that had invited us to Ava's wedding like we were an afterthought. Every detail, every snub, all of it laid out clearly. But that wasn't the end of it because apparently Ava had used part of the wedding contributions to pay off a credit card. One she'd secretly been using under Matt's name. Aaron found the receipts. One of Ava's friends, someone Aaron had met once at a work party, quietly sent her screenshots from a group chat where Ava bragged about how stupid we were for giving her so much. It was disgusting. Aaron printed those too, and she mailed them to Matt with a sticky note that just said, "In case you're still unsure who you married." That was the day everything went truly quiet. Phones stopped buzzing. No more calls, no more texts. Even the family group chat we were never part of shut down. I know because Nathan, the cousin who whispered the truth at the wedding, told me. He said everyone was in damage control mode now, trying to figure out how much Matt knew, how much Aaron and I had. Aaron wasn't trying to destroy anyone. That's the part that surprised me most. She just wanted them to leave us the hell alone. And now they were finally doing that. You think that was too far? She asked that night as we sat on the porch. I thought about it. Thought about all the years I wasted trying to be accepted. About the chair in the corner, the sticky note, the silence when we needed support, and the noise when we finally said no. No, I said. I think you stopped waiting for me to defend myself. She didn't smile. She didn't need to. But deep down, I think we both knew there was still one more thing left to say. It came on a Wednesday mid-afternoon. A plain white envelope in the mailbox. No return address, just my name on the front in Ava's handwriting. Tight pressed like she was trying to control something that had already spun too far. I knew it was from her before I even touched it. I held it for a moment, then tossed it on the kitchen counter without opening it. 2 days passed before Erin finally said, "You don't have to read it, but don't let it rot in the middle of our house." She was right. So I sat down and opened it. It wasn't an apology, not even close. It started with a half-hearted attempt to seem reflective. Something about misunderstandings and emotions running high, but it didn't take long for her real voice to show. She blamed me for ruining the most important day of her life. Said Matt had been humiliated and that our mom hadn't eaten properly in a week because of the stress I'd caused. Then she wrote this line. "You've always been bitter about not having a real family of your own, and now you're trying to tear ours apart." I sat there holding the letter, the words seeping in like cold water. And then I smiled. Not because it was funny, but because it was the clearest proof I'd ever seen that I made the right choice. Walking away, Erin came in from the backyard, saw the letter still in my hand, and asked, "Worth reading?" "No," I said, folding it, "but worth remembering." She didn't ask what it said. She didn't need to. She pulled the trash can closer and held it open while I dropped it in. We sat out on the porch that night watching the breeze move the trees, the quiet pressing in like a warm blanket. I looked out at the street at the spot where my mom and Ava had stood not long ago demanding apologies they never deserved. "I don't think I'll ever go back," I said. "Even if they beg, even if they somehow mean it one day." Erin didn't say anything for a few seconds. Then she replied, "Good, because they never lost you. You were never theirs to begin with." And that was the final piece. The last thing I needed to hear. The following months were strange at first. Peaceful but strange. I'd spent so long reacting, defending, explaining, hoping for crumbs of love that felt more like tolerance. When all of that noise stopped, it felt like someone turned off a machine I didn't even realize had been running for years. The holidays came and went. No invitations. A couple of passive-aggressive texts from unknown numbers. A generic birthday card signed from all of us with no names. I didn't reply. Neither did Erin. Nathan, my cousin, texted once in January, just a quick message. Trying to fix things, but mostly with the people she can still control. That told me everything I needed to know. Erin and I started taking weekend trips. Nothing extravagant, just little drives out of the city, places we never made time for before. We picked up old hobbies, slept in more, laughed harder. It was a quiet joy. No performance, no permission needed. One Sunday morning, while drinking coffee by the window, Erin said, "You've been lighter lately." I didn't answer right away. But she was right. I'd finally stopped trying to convince people who never wanted to understand me. I'd stopped begging for space in a family that treated me like a placeholder. Let them continue without me. And that's what they did. But the truth is, I didn't leave empty-handed. I walked away with the one person who never asked me to prove anything, who stood between me and the fire when no one else even noticed I was burning. And for the first time in my life, I wasn't trying to belong. I already did.